few years ago I was head of operations in Oldham, and we were having some difficulties with one of the teams. There was issues around culture and they hadn't been properly addressed for some time by the manager, and what the result was that we had prolific sickness within the team. And this was a house that was staffed 24 hours a day, 2 staff, and suddenly we found we were down to 2 members of staff. So it was really all hands to the pump. While we were trying to sort out the cultural issues, we still had to make sure that there was staff on shift. And when I say all hands to the pump, it was every manager, every member of staff that we could pull in from around the network, and myself within that, as well as somebody who was a bit more removed. So I wasn't a first line manager, I managed managers. So although I knew people, I didn't know them as well as the support workers, and I definitely, or as managers. And I was on shift, and I went in and did a lot of prep around understanding the people, and realised that some of the person-centred information that we've been collecting was out of date. And I just hoped that with my kind of old knowledge of support work that would be okay. And as people got up in the morning, Bernard's person-centred plan in particular was brilliant. It told me really useful things like, don't help Bernard get up. Bernard had visual impairment, but he also had some kind of health problems, which meant that if he got up before he had a sweet cup of tea, he might pass out. So it was really good because I could help Bernard get up, give him a cup of tea in bed. I knew exactly how he had that. You know, he needed it cooling for a while. He had sugar in it, and how to support him. Martin was a different kettle of fish, and Martin's person-centred plan was sketchy at best, which I'm ashamed to say, as somebody had responsibility for managing that service. And talked about his routines. Martin was autistic, but didn't give enough detail about it, and it didn't matter where I looked in the files, I couldn't find the detail of the routines. And I knew that we were having problems because once he got up, he started this repetitive behaviour of going to the washing machine, looking distressed and confused, and then coming away. And I knew that there was something around the routine of the washing machine and the dryer, but I didn't know what it was. And I tried everything I could think of. I tried taking the washing out and seeing what happened then. That made it worse. I tried taking the drying out that was already in the dryer. That made it worse and made him really upset, where he was starting to kind of get agitated with himself. And I ended up ringing people, because by this time he got to the point where he was almost hitting himself. You know, he was so upset, and I was at my wit's end. But also I had 2 other guys who wanted my attention, and I didn't know what to do about it because I was on my own. So I rang other staff, but couldn't get hold of anybody. I ended up ringing somebody who was off on sick to tell me what to do. And it was a really simple thing. It was help Martin to separate out his washing from Bernard's washing, and put his in the dryer, take Bernard's, put it in his room, and then Martin would be able to carry on with his day. So we did that, Martin and I together. Martin calmed down really, really quickly. We could get on with somebody's day, and it made me feel really accountable and responsible, even though I didn't work there. And I knew, because of our data, that he had a person-centred plan. What I knew was it hadn't been updated. From his reviews, it hadn't been updated as we were learning new things, and it definitely didn't have enough data for if we're in a situation where somebody who didn't know him well had to work with him, that we'd be able to do that without doing harm. And I know that with the best will in the world, I did harm that day to Martin's support and to the other guys who then didn't get my attention as well. So we went away and really thought about how do we keep things alive and updated. And it wasn't an issue for staff, because everybody who worked with him, and not even in his team, knew really well his routines, because he had really good verbal handovers, but there was nobody to give me that. And actually, we take away so much information in our heads. If those staff leave, we're stuffed, basically.